Hey everyone, and welcome to the Always On Point podcast with Kristen Ambos, sponsored by my parent company, Point Mortgage. So excited to be here with you guys today. Wanted to touch base. Rates are moving, they're fluctuating, and you'll see, I think for a while now, every rate situation on 30-year fix is what I'm explicitly discussing right now, somewhere between 5.75 and 6.25% on purchase. Now, some refi rates might come into that play, but I need everybody to remember, and I actually just had a few LOs, not with our company, but just ones that I know reach out recently who haven't done refinances in a while, ask why there's a discrepancy in rate from a refinance to a purchase. And what that means is that refinance rates right now are a little higher than purchase rates. So I want to just start that out with my market update for you. Reminder that a couple of years ago, the administration then was trying to do everything they could to keep housing moving. And so the GSEs, otherwise known as the government-sponsored entities, they are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So they were in a position where they really needed to keep households to a primary, to a purchase, and they were really trying to drive that market. And so what they did was they gave a little bit of a rate incentive to purchases over refinances. So if you are being quoted online, quote unquote, lower interest rate, and then you talk to a lender and they're like, but you're refinancing, so your rate's going to be a little bit higher. That's normal right now because refinance rates, again, have a little bit higher threshold of rate than purchases do because we want to keep the purchase market going. So that's one. The other part of what I really wanted to drive home today in our time together is understanding that loan officers are not created equal when it comes to refinancing. Now, last week you heard me kind of talk about how loan officers need to be genuine to their niche and what they are good at. And right now you could pick up a phone and you could call 10 different loan officers. And heck, maybe you even try this just to prove me right. And I say that laughing, but honestly, they will all tell you that they are the best at refinances. Ask them what their niche is. Well, I do anything from brand new construction to investment properties to DSCR to non-QM to VA to, and listen, all loan officers cannot know 100 and some different lender products out there and be great at all of them. Unless they have 25 years and have literally done hundreds of loans a year, okay, now you can speak to that level. But if you are working with a loan officer who is newer, and when I say newer, I'm almost even saying in the last 10 to 12 years. Why do I say that? Because the last 10 to 12 years have brought us many different markets. And so every market is a different market. And these markets fluctuate up and down. A lot of loan officers that are licensed right now have never been through a refi boom. They don't understand even how to do a refinance. And when I tell you that doing a refinance is far different than doing a purchase, I am not kidding you. And this is coming from a 24-year veteran loan officer. They are not created equal. They have different circumstances. They have different needs. When you're buying a home and when you're working with a client who's buying a home, every contingency, every date in that contract is a contractual date. Plus, people who are buying a home are excited. So they are reaching out to you more often, and it is really high up on their list for you to get their loan done. A refinance is different because the people already own the home. This is a back burner. Everyday life is more important. You're struggling to get documents. Now you have to explain to them that they're also going to have to bring in for their escrow account when they already have an escrow account. You have to explain to them that, no, you're not actually skipping a payment. Interest is calculated every day and you can never skip interest. You might skip a little bit of principal, but you are not skipping interest, which means you are either prepaying that interest or you're delaying that interest. So many different pieces go into a refinance over a purchase. So when you are even thinking about refinance, do not leave that in the hands of just any loan officer chasing what you might think is the lowest rate out there. Because again, if you listen to me in my content, you know that the lowest interest rate doesn't always equal the most savings. Sometimes you have to pay for those interest rates right now. Points being paid and discount points are a lot bigger of a cost of your loan right now than has probably ever been in my career. And I'm speaking specifically in the Midwest. The coastal states, things like that, discount points have always been, lucrative to their business. In the Midwest, it has not been a big deal, but now it is. And it's just so important to work with somebody who understands those different tactics. So when I come to you and I'm speaking with you about where my niches really lay and what's really important to me, I'm speaking to you from the heart on that. And if you're watching right now, you'll see that I'm actually going into my phone because I plugged in some things that I really want to hear and what I really want to speak to you on. So when it comes to a refinance, where I'm really good and where my passion lies is in structuring that loan. Not just refinancing you to another 30-year fixed because it's got a low interest rate and you're going to save some money. It is about structuring that loan so that you can make the best use of the money you have while setting you up for future wealth success in the future. That to me is so important. So important in the fact that I met with a couple today that probably isn't going to be even buying and or building for 2 to 3 years. But I helped them with their mortgage for the first house they bought and then their move-up house. Now we're strategizing. What is best? Should they pay off their home equity line of credit? Should they save money to build or not? And what we came up with was that their home equity line of credit that they will pay off with their first. So when they go to sell, they're going to have a first mortgage and a second mortgage. They will have to pay both of those mortgages off because they sit in a first and second lien position to then put those proceeds, whatever's left over, towards their next house, their forever home. But what I love about strategizing with them right now is the question they brought to me was, is it smarter for us to save money on the side for our down payment later on? Because their goal is really to get to 20% down. This is going to be their forever home. Or is it smarter to pay off their 7% interest rate home equity line of credit? And it's smarter to pay their home equity line of credit down versus saving. Why? Because as they're paying down that home equity line of credit, they're actually saving. So they're doing both things. They're getting rid of that higher interest rate mortgage. And every dollar they're paying down on that is actually like a little savings account because that's going to be in the proceeds of their home when they go to sell. If they pay down their $80,000 mortgage in the next few years, that's going to open up $80,000 of proceeds to go into paying down their next mortgage. So there's their down payment. We looked at what the overall interest is, what that's going to save them, how that when they're paying down that payment much faster, that compounded interest then turns into so much less, saving them even more money than they would just putting in a savings account, making a 0.5% or 1 or 2% interest. So sitting down with a loan officer and strategizing with them to make sure that you're setting yourself up right as a client or as a homeowner to getting to that max exposure of money. How are you best using your money to benefit you? So that on the refinance side is something I want to do. There's another client. He's been in his home 2 years. Most people would just go back to a 30-year fix because they think that that's all they can do. We sat down, we sat on a call, we strategized how him going to a 25-year mortgage, cutting 3 years off from his 30-year that he's on now because he's been in there 2 years, so he technically owes 27 years. Going to a 25-year mortgage got him a little bit of a lesser interest rate, not even a lot off a 30-year. But what we strategized is him now, because his payment that he's making is comfortable, we're going to take those funds and he is going to do a 25-year mortgage and then continue to make the mortgage payment he's making now. That's about $120 more a month than what will be due. However, when we did that strategy call, we realized that not only is he going to save money, he's actually going to pay it off closer to a 17-year, even though he's taking a 25-year out. He's going to pay it off a 17-year, and he's going to save an additional $45,000 of interest in going to a 25-year and paying his loan down and paying it off in 17 years versus 25. You guys, all around, that's amazing. He's got kids that are going to be out of high school at the time. He's not going to quite be retired yet, but having a home that's paid off, saving him another $45,000, making the same payment he's making now, but we're reworking and strategizing to a lower interest rate and a lower term, which is actually going to be the bulk of his savings. Those are things I love to do. I want to strategize that out. I don't want to just refinance you because remember, loan officers don't get paid unless they close deals. So of course, every time you call a loan officer, their job is to sell you on why you should close on that loan. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as I want to put you in a situation that's right. And where that's taken me in my career and educating clients on that strategy has built me that relationship that they come back year over year. And a lot of times I don't even refinance them because it's not making financial sense. But what we've done is we've strategized where their goals are in the next 3 to 5 years and what we can do to better position them to make a move then. Sometimes that's not doing a refinance at all. Remember, refinances 10 years ago, you guys, were maybe $1,000 to do. Right now, they're the same amount of closing costs as a purchase unless you can waive an appraisal. So you're talking in the state of Wisconsin right now, a refinance may cost you somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000, or even some banks and credit unions, mortgage banks alike will be at $3,500 or more in closing costs. You guys, then you have to save a lot more money per month to make it worth it. It's a lot of times not worth it. The lower interest rate is not worth it. Sometimes staying where you're at, not paying those closing costs, putting those down as a principal reduction, and then paying $100 more a month to make an extra payment a year is going to even save you more money than a refinance to a lower rate. I want to strategize with you. And when I've done that, I've earned the trust of people to now come to me later on, send their friends to me because I'm not just going to try to sell them a mortgage. I'm going to strategize with them that that's best. And now in doing that over the course of my career, I do more business because I'm upfront and honest about what's happening versus what we consider in the business is churn and burn, churn loans, refinance over refinance over refinance. Now, the other thing I will tell you as a consumer, if I'm looking at a loan officer who's refinancing me, I'm looking at the amount of loans they do and where do those loans go? Are they mostly purchase? Is there a good purchase refinance mix? If it's all refinance business, you guys, and we have not been in a refinance boom in 5 or 6 years, but your loan officers are still only refinancing the bulk of their business, that to me is a red flag, and that's a run. Run from that because all they're doing is what we consider churning and burning, okay? When it comes to buying, if you are a buyer as a loan officer, where my niche lies is definitely that move up home to strategize. I have a first time home buy pro on my team who she can help you. She loves that. She's great in that. She wants to educate in that. I can help you as well, but that's where her passion is right now. And so Sam is going to help you do that with the first time home buyers. That's where she's really strategizing right now. My career has taken me from that, which I done a ton of them, will still love to work with you, but where I really am right now, which I found there's a need for, is the amount of loan officers who cannot calculate self-employed income well. They cannot calculate rental income well. And they really don't know how to set up if there's any kind of job difference. So somebody who's changed careers in the last 2 years, or maybe stayed in the same career but just changed jobs. Somebody who truly knows how to calculate income, because income calculations mean everything right now. And that's where I really love. I want to get down to the nitty gritty. What is your true income? What can we use? And I want all that information up front so that I can best strategize with you on how to get into a home. For a lot of self-employed people, they might need a year or two because they have to work out the strategy of now paying taxes, showing more income, maybe not depreciating or writing off as much stuff. We can go through that. Now, I don't claim to be a financial planner and I'm not licensed to be, but I can help you strategize what you need to do and educate you on where you want to be in a home in the next 3 to 5 years. What do you want to do with that? The other thing that I am really big on that I've done a ton for is veterans. That's because my husband is a veteran. Our loan is VA. I do a ton of VA loans. The loan officers out there who don't know VA then can really struggle. VA is not a hard loan to do, but if you don't know it, that's where it becomes a struggle. So veterans is really big in my camp. The other one that I am loving to work with and that I find I have a really big niche right now is relocation. Whether you're relocating from Green Bay to Milwaukee or you're relocating from California to Wisconsin somewhere. that's where I shine right now, because I have done so many relocations of people moving in and out of our area. There's a strategy. You have to understand and know, okay, if I sell my home in California and I'm moving to Wisconsin and I'm closing my home in California on a Thursday and I'm closing my house in Wisconsin on a Friday because I need a place to live, how are we moving those funds? How are we getting from point A to point B? Who am I going to work with of your agents and your business people in California to get you here with ease? You already have a ton to worry about. You have moving trucks. You have jobs you're changing. You have a family. You have relocation costs. You have maybe kids going to new schools. There's so much there. And where our team really bands together is ensuring that you have all the information, that you can trust us, and we are going to keep it as smooth as we possibly can for you, because we understand that whether you're moving across town or across a country, it doesn't matter. It's a move. And it's really important. You have a lot of moving pieces, and your mortgage shouldn't be the one that's giving you the most stress. So that's where we really shine and purchase. But, we do, yes. Do we do it all? Of course we do. However, those where our niche products are right now. Government loans, relocations, and really helping first-time home buyers. That's where our team is at. That's where we want to be to help you. So knowing who your loan officer is and where those niches come in is important. The other piece of all of this that comes into play is understanding what they've done throughout their career. Ask those questions. How long have they been in their job? They're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars of your money. You want to know how long they've been in the industry. Every time I sit down with someone new, one of the first questions if I'm going to a professional, one of the first questions I ask is, how long have you done this for? I want to know, because then that also sets my expectations right. If I'm working with somebody who's new in that career, I am not going to have super high expectations of them, because they're learning. And I know at that point that I'm going to learn along with them. But if I'm working with somebody who has been in the industry for 20 years, my expectations go up. I expect you to be able to answer every question I throw at you, good, bad, or indifferent, right? I want to understand exactly what it is. I want you to be point blank with me. The other piece of where I'm at as a loan officer is I like birthday surprises. I don't like money surprises. People don't want to be surprised when all of a sudden you have to tell them, oh, instead of coming in with $3,000 to close, you have to come in with $10,000. Most Americans right now don't have an extra $7,000 sitting around that they can just come in with. And so being realistic and not giving any surprises when it comes to money and financing and homes, I think is crucial. So one of the things that I do and have done for so long is I take my initial closing disclosure and my end one. And I want to see how close I came to keeping the numbers so accurate for my clients, because they need to understand when that number is right in the realm of where I tell them at the end from where it was at the beginning, or it's less, that is a huge win. Again, we're dealing with thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can't trust just anybody to take care of you at that. You wouldn't trust a heart surgeon who used to work on legs. Last week, we talked about the same thing, right? Like, you have to have specific niches. And if I'm going in for heart surgery, I want to know that my heart surgeon only works on hearts. I want to know that they know what they're doing when it comes to hearts, and they just didn't flip-flop from one to the other, and they're just doing, whole body surgeries. That's why even doctors have niches. So it doesn't matter what it is. In extreme professions where you're trusting people with your well-being or your finances, please seek out somebody who understands what they're doing, because I can tell you right now, and as much as I hate it for my industry, there's a lot of predatory lending out there right now. So I'm almost on a mission. My mission changes every few years. And right now, knowing how many predatory lenders are out there, or a ton of lenders who truly don't know what they're doing and they're messing around with your hundreds of thousands of dollars, I want to protect you, because that means something. And that's super important to me. So those are the kind of things that we do as a company. That's what I do as a lead loan officer for my team, is that strategizing. It's so important. We want to solve your problems. We want to get in there. And that's just something that I wanted to touch on today. So while this might not be the sexiest of podcasts, it's also one that's super important for you to know and know what you're getting into. And again, ask the questions. One of the first things you're going to hear from me for a client, one of the last things is, I don't care if it's 5 or 500 questions, ask. so that you feel comfortable leaving the table and you are excited to move into that home than leaving upset, angry, discouraged, not understanding. That's no way to move into a new home. You want clarity. You want that strategy, and you really want that trust in somebody. So that's my plug for today. My call to action on it is, and this is something new for me because I'm not good at asking for it, but if you fit any of those bills, call us. That's the client I want to talk to. That's the client I want to look for. And if that's you, call us, talk to us. We're here to help. And my team and I want to earn that business from you. We want to earn that relationship. So give us a call. You can find my information by just even Googling Kristen Ambos with Point Mortgage. Would love to help you out in this near future if you're looking. This housing market's going to get crazy over the next year or two, and we're going to continue to bring you a little market update at the top of every podcast so you know what's going on. Keep you interested, excited, and informed. That's what we're here to do. So thank you again for joining me today on the Always On Point podcast with Kristen Ambos. See you next week.